Today, I wanted to go live because there's so much going on, and there were some things that I just wanted to express, some things that I just needed to say. Um, the last few days they've been emotionally draining and heart-wrenching for obvious reasons, and most of you who know me know that I'm not a political person. You can look on my timeline for the last 10, 15 years, whatever it is, and you don't see me posting ugly, malicious, divisive political posts. I have friends in all of the different political parties and independents, and I feel like it's not a good thing for me to post things like that, because it's offensive, and out of respect for the people who are my friends who have a differing opinion than I do, I just don't do that. And there are a lot of there's just a lot of discussion about the things that are going on right now, and I was talking about it to some friends, and the thing that I think that I needed to say is that despite everything that's going on, we need to maintain our humanity. And despite the fact that most of the time when you interact with me, when you communicate with me, I try to keep a light atmosphere, I try to smile all the time, I'm still affected by the things that happen in the world, in our society, in just in life. Last Saturday was World MS Day, and I had planned on doing a live in the morning, hey Virginia, and then doing a post every hour on the hour to bring awareness to multiple sclerosis. Our walk was entirely virtual this year, and we took a hit for that in both fundraising and participation. So I wanted to bring some awareness to that. I was just devastated by the person in the MS Society who has been sort of my pillar and my mainstay since I was first diagnosed, was let go. She was laid off from the society because the coronavirus has made it so that doing things that generate the income that we need to maintain the staffing level that we had are gone, drastically reduced. And so this was the person, she was the first person that I had contact with in the society when I was diagnosed. She was the person who put me in contact with the navigators who helped me with services. She was the person who introduced me to Walk MS to give me a purpose, to move me away from the mentality of being a victim and to empower myself to do something to help in the cause, and to take up this mission of raising awareness and raising funds for research and for services for people who are living with multiple sclerosis. She was the person who put my name forward when they wanted to do a campaign, and that year the awareness campaign was about showing the diversity of the people who actually get MS and the things that they have to live with and deal with, and the things that are happening for them in life. She was the person who put me in contact with our advocacy area so that I could go to State Action Day and talk to legislators about the causes, the legislation, the proposed legislation that's important for people with MS or people with disabilities in general. She was, from that, it led to other opportunities that have happened for me in my work with the society, helping me to be a better volunteer and helping me to show up and lend a hand and to help where I can. And that person is no longer with the MS Society because we couldn't raise enough funds, because there had to be cuts in order to deal with the pandemic and the consequences of the pandemic. So that's what I was going to do on Saturday. But in light of all of the racial things that have been going on, I didn't feel like it was a good time for me to put that out there. I didn't feel like it was the appropriate time to dilute the message of what is happening and the importance of our response to what is happening. So today is not about raising funds for MS. It's not about raising awareness for MS. It's about calling attention and letting my voice be heard in this fight for equality and respect of my ethnicity. When I was in my early 20s, and I think it was my early 20s, that was the first time that I ever had guns pointed at me from the sheriff's department. And that was despite being on the phone with the dispatcher telling her, make sure, because she's telling me to open the door. And I'm telling her to make sure that they know that it's me opening the door. She said that she had told them, but they still shouted at me and pointed guns at me. I don't talk about that very often. I don't share that with people, that experience that I had. I don't share with people the experience of walking down the street in Berkeley, California, and having somebody yell the N-word at me and throw a bag of rotting bread and hit me in the face. I don't talk about that. I don't talk about being followed around in stores and watched as if I were going to steal something. I don't talk about going to buy a car and, when the salesperson came up to me and asked me if he could help me, and I said no, I was just looking at the time. And so he tried to escort me in my browsing, and I said, it's okay, I just want to look by myself, and I'll let you know if I want anything. And him telling me that he couldn't do that, that he would show them to me. And having to have my sister say, can you show me this car, just so I could step away by myself to be able to look at a car. I don't talk about that very often. Or any of the other experiences that I have had simply because of the color of my skin. Being looked at as if I wasn't intelligent, if I didn't know what I was talking about, that I didn't have common sense, or that I didn't belong because of the color of my skin. I don't talk about being the only black person in a room full of white people and having to justify my presence and show that I actually did belong there because of the color of my skin. And having people in the room be silent and not acknowledge that this was happening or the importance of what was happening. Having people tell me that this isn't a racial world that we live in anymore, that is a thing of the past, when I know for a fact that it isn't. I don't say very much about that. But maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's part of the problem, is that I don't speak out enough, and that other people who should be speaking out don't speak out enough. I don't know if I can count the number of times when somebody has accused me of playing the race card just by virtue of my standing there. I didn't even have to do anything, but I'm using the race card. I'm playing the race card. That's not right. And I don't know, as I've watched some of the protests, and I've watched some of the violence, and I've watched some of the activities, and you have terms that are being thrown out like white privilege, and how for some people that's a thing that doesn't exist, even though you see it being used and weaponized and directed at people who don't deserve it. And then I have people who say, well, I don't see color. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. We all do. And I want you to see my color. I want you to see that I'm a black woman, that I'm intelligent and articulate, that I have cultural differences that you should be able to appreciate because of who I am. That doesn't make me less. And it doesn't make you more because you say you don't see it. You know, it's time for a change. How much more can we take? And I know for some of you who see this and, you know, never haven't seen me speak up about things, maybe you haven't been present when I've done it, or because I speak softly. You know, I'm not a loud person. I have quiet conversations with people about the things that matter. And I'm okay with that. I don't need to change who I am. I don't have to change who I am inside to please you or anyone else. But it's time for people to stand together and stop what is happening. It is time for our allies, because we've been standing up and saying that this is wrong for a long time. We've been standing up and being horrified and speaking out against the travesty that is going on right now for a long time. So there's some other players who need to get in the game. I was on Twitter and scrolling through, and I saw this video that she must be a teenager, but she's talking about Black Lives Matter. And she used the analogy. She said, you know, if I had a heart attack at the very same moment, in the very same restaurant where you broke your arm, she said, the ambulance would take me first. That doesn't mean that you aren't experiencing pain. It just means that the urgency, the severity is with the heart attack, not the broken arm. And I thought, here's this child saying this profound thing when there are so many adults in the world who can't see that. No, I don't condone the violence. No, I don't condone the appropriation of peaceful protests being turned into something that they're not, and that being blamed on Black Lives. So I got cut off before I could finish my thought, and there were a couple of important things that I really wanted to make sure I conveyed. So I was saying that I don't condone the appropriation of a cause to turn it into something that it was never meant to be, and to blame negative things that are done on that. I don't condone that at all. And for those of you who, when someone says Black Lives Matter, you say, well, all lives matter or blue lives matter, you need to check yourself, because no one said that they don't. No one said that they don't. But if we both go into the emergency room, you have a sprained ankle and I've got arterial spray, you're darn right they should take care of me first. You're darn right that it's a more pressing issue. So I've been watching this movie, and I've seen it several times. It's called 6 Underground with Ryan Reynolds. And one of the characters in there, who has seen the injustice that's being done to his country by his brother, says it's time for a revolution. It's time to make a change. And that's what we're seeing right now. So for those of you who don't acknowledge that white privilege exists, open your eyes. For those of you who can't see what's right in front of you, open your eyes. Have the conversation. You know, there are so many times in life where we turn the other way because we don't want to see. And that's good for you if you can do that. But there are those of us who can't. We can't. There is nothing that I can do to change my blackness. I am a black woman, and I wouldn't want to. I like being a black woman. I like who I am. I like who I am on the outside, and I like who I am on the inside. I like being a person of service. I like being someone who acknowledges the ills of the world and does her part to try to change them and to fix them. I like being someone who doesn't think the status quo is okay. I like being someone who can look at somebody of a different ethnicity and appreciate the differences and acknowledge their culture and learn about them without preconceived notions. Have any of you taken the implicit bias test that Harvard has available so you can see for yourself? You don't have to share the results with anybody else, but so you can see for yourself where you stand and be truthful. If you're the only person that's going to see it, tell the truth. So you can see those areas where you are not only are you not being truthful with society, but you're not being truthful with yourself. We all have them. We have them to different degrees. Where are you with that? What's your level? Have you looked? Or are you too afraid to see the truth to even find out? I think about all the people in my family who are also people of service. My brother who served in the Army, my cousins who served in the Army, in the Marines, my uncle who served in the Air Force, my other uncle who served in the Navy. Family of service. The people who have donated their time, who have given to charity, who have invited people in just to help take care of them because they saw a need and they wanted to fill that need. The people who are compelled by their humanity, their spirituality, to try and make this world that we all live in a better place. Are you doing that? The people who don't want to see what's right there, so you turn away and you don't look at it. I was reading on social media where somebody was saying that you know, the video of George Floyd dying was just too horrific and they shouldn't show it anymore. Why not? So you can hide behind the fact that it happened? So you can pretend like it didn't? Where's your voice? Stop burying your head in the sand. And if you are a white person who is not taking a stand, who is not acknowledging the things that are wrong right now that need to be fixed, shame on you. Shame on you. It's time for a change. And the allies need to be a part of it. And this isn't, I said this before, but this isn't a moment. This is a season. You can't stand up today and sit down tomorrow because the problem doesn't go away that fast. We need soldiers in this fight. And I don't mean somebody picking up arms. I mean somebody who's going to lock arms and stand with us and say enough is enough and say that this is wrong and not just have lip service but actually take the steps to change it. Where are you? When is enough for you? When are you going to take a stand? When are you going to lift your voice? Because one voice may not be heard, 10 voices may not be heard, 100 voices is getting a little louder, and 1,000 voices are making a difference. Where are you? Where's your voice? If you don't like it, you don't like what I have to say, not used to hearing me say stuff like this in such a public forum, there's an unfriend button there. You're welcome to it. But I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired of crying, seeing these people killed. I'm tired of worrying about my children and texting them and calling them and just asking them if they're okay. Are they safe? I don't even remember how old my son was when I had the conversation with him about what happens if he gets pulled over by the police. I don't know if he remembers the conversation. I don't know. But what I do know is that I'm not aware of any black mothers who have not had that conversation with their black sons. I don't know any. Not a single one. There's room right now for more of those conversations, but with others. There's room right now for you to come in and join in the fight. There's room right now. There's a need right now for you to help stop what is happening. There's room right now for you to acknowledge that Black lives actually do matter. And that's not saying anyone else's doesn't. So what are you going to do? Who are you going to stand for? Are you going to put your head in the sand and pretend like this isn't going on? Or are you actually going to try and do something about it? Let me know. Put something in the comments and tell me where you stand.